Welcome to the Beard and the Bun. It's been quite a while since we're back on here. Had some different things going on, but nonetheless, we are back.
Good to be back, Beard.
Bun, I feel the same. So there's been a lot that's kind of going on in the comic book world, movie world, the superhero fandom since we've been gone, and we're going to go over not a whole lot of that.
Good time to be a fan. We'll probably go over the stuff that we're most interested in, or at least we are most aware of.
And that's going to start with a titular trailer review.
Ooh.
Two of them, in fact.
Two trailers.
And two female leads.
Great time to be a female.
And a superhero.
USA. And a female director.
Oh.
Right?
I have no idea.
Well, Patty Jenkins is directing Wonder Woman.
Okay.
There's a female director for Suicide Squad, for Birds of Prey, I believe.
Yes.
There's a female director for Eternals. Is that true?
I don't know. I wasn't.
I might have made that up.
Well, regardless, I think it sounds like it's a good time to be a female director.
Irregardless.
All right. So
female director for Black Widow.
let's stick with the Black Widow theme now because you've created such a theme. Black Widow trailer dropped not too long ago, and we get to see a side of Black Widow we haven't really seen before. We've seen like an emotional side, but we've never seen family.
Back to Russia. Obviously, it looks like it's the motherland. Budapest. We finally get to figure out what the reference to Budapest was all those times in those Avenger movies.
Yeah, she doesn't have white hair.
Thank God. I was not a fan of the white hair. I understand that she was going incognito, but yeah, good to be back in red. And I'm excited to see the time jumps. Looks like a lot of views from the past, from before she even met the Avengers, possibly. Obviously, the movie, quote unquote, present time is going to be right after Civil War. So what was that, 2015, 16?
Right around there, I believe so.
So
Spider-Man was just kind of semi-acquired by Marvel. Yeah, so
it's going to be great. Black Widow comes out May 2020, obviously starring Scarlett Johansson reprising her role as Natasha Romanoff, everyone's favorite Black Widow. Florence Pugh, one of the new Black Widows, or old Black Widows, however you want to phrase that, played by Yelena Belova. Oh, I'm sorry, that's the character's name. Yelena is one of the Black Widows that is in the Red program. David Harbour, if you watch Stranger Things, or he was actually the new Hellboy in the new Hellboy movie.
Yeah,
I didn't see.
yeah.
Did you see that?
I didn't. But
Didn't hear great things, but I do like David Harbour in
I
Stranger
didn't hear
Things.
anything, so that's not great.
Yeah, it's also not great. He's playing the Red Guardian, which is like Russia's version, a knockoff version of Captain America.
And he's Pops. He's Scarlett's Black Widow's dad.
No,
Not
true.
Father figure
in this quote unquote family. I'm pretty sure none of these people are actually related. And if you remember in Endgame, when Scarlett Johansson, Black Widow, and Hawkeye go to Volodymyr to meet the Red Skull.
Volodymyr, okay. Sounds a little
before
Lord of the Rings-ish.
Yeah, it's when the end where she sacrifices herself to get the Soul Stone.
Yeah.
And
Sorry.
Red Skull says something like, "You're son of or daughter of Ivan," and Hawkeye was like, "Is he telling the truth?" And she's like, "I don't even know my dad's name." So her dad's name is Ivan. It's not David Harbour's character, which is Alexi, sorry. But he is the Red Guardian. That's dope. Also, Rachel Weisz, who I think is playing the Iron Maiden, also part of the Black Widow program. It's going to be awesome. The trailer.
Shout out to Jermaine Randomy, the Iron Maiden, fighting tonight of this recording.
As we record this, fighting tonight for the 145 championship
I have a
fight.
bet actually against her, so not a real shout out.
Parlay?
Kind of betting against you. Yeah, parlay. Money's not worth it.
Yeah.
Just bet straight up Nunes.
She has a chance, but yeah, I mean, all Nunes has to do is take her to the ground and lights out. But anyway, so yeah, female director. It's going to be directed by Kate Shortland. Woot woot. Screenplay written by Ned Benson, Don Heck. Boom, boom, boom. And I thought the trailer looked awesome. Looked like they shot on location, not a lot of CGI places. They went to Budapest, they went to Russia. You see certain artifacts and statues from different places, which look awesome. I think it's going to be sort of like a Winter Soldier spy type movie,
Yeah.
which I think Winter Soldier might be my favorite of the MC movies. I don't know. Endgame and Infinity
It's a great
War
movie.
hard to beat.
It's I'm kind of excited to get back to a low CGI effect superhero movie.
Yeah.
It's going to be kind of a blast from the past. It'll be refreshing.
Born Identity style sort of spy stuff.
Daredevil,
hand-in-hand
Netflix
comics.
Daredevil,
Yeah,
kinda.
Netflix Daredevil, exactly.
Yeah.
Speaking of Black Widow and Daredevil, that'd be sweet if Daredevil was in this movie,
Yeah, but
knowing their past in the comics. But yeah, I mean, you saw the trailer. What was your first impression from the Black Widow trailer? It was like 2.5 minutes long.
I kind of was reminiscent of I don't know if you ever saw the cartoon Incredibles, but
The movie?
Yes.
Yeah.
The father was kind of out of the game for a while, and when he puts his suit back on, it's ill-fitting,
Yeah.
and that's what kind
That's
of
good.
reminded me of
I like that.
the Red Guardian. Or
Yeah.
so I think I wasn't really worried because Marvel does a great job with in contributing or keeping humor within the movie, so I really wasn't worried, but I was more curious on how Natasha Romanoff's a pretty serious character.
Yeah, she
for the most
plays
part.
the straight man for the most off, and then she'll make like a sarcastic comment. I mean, if you go back and watch the old Avenger movies where Joss Whedon did, there was more humor put in those in weirder places. But
And her character progression has definitely made her
not what she's
funnier.
known for. Yeah.
I mean, she's progressively become funnier over the movies, but since this is a jump back, I wasn't sure where they're going to take it, but it seems like there's going to be a fair amount of humor, which I expected.
yeah, especially in the trailer, they're gonna not all doom and gloomy, but I imagine it's gonna be a pretty serious movie, and I hope most of these characters end up surviving. It's kind of like, why didn't we see them in Infinity War? But maybe they got snapped out.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, Endgame. Maybe they got snapped away. I would have loved, I'd
that's-
love to see Red Guardian after this. I'd love to see the new Black Widow, quote unquote, or some of the new Black Widows, Florence Pugh's character, Iron Maiden, etc. Taskmaster look cool.
Yeah, Taskmaster looks pretty legit.
Yeah, I wonder if they're really gonna do like the full-on skull mask, like in the comics, where he just is straight up. He looks like a Skeletor from He-Man,
He does,
kinda.
yeah.
I don't know if they'll go that far, but they probably, if they were gonna do that, it would be a surprise they wouldn't show in the trailer.
I think I read a quote unquote statistic a while ago where Taskmaster was one of the top 10 hand-to-hand combatants of the comic book world.
It's not better than Batman.
No. Taskmaster I think was like 9 or 10. A little behind Nightwing, and Batman was like definitely top 3. I want to say top 2.
That's interesting because I don't think
Xing Li, one of the newer, he was in there as well.
Shang-Chi.
Shang-Chi.
Yeah, he's apparently, well, I don't know who you would consider the best martial artist in Marvel, whether it's Iron Fist or Shang-Chi, but they've got to be up there, yeah. But Taskmaster, apparently, he's more of a, he sees something once, photographic memory,
exactly.
reflexive memory, muscle memory. He just picks up everyone's sort of fighting style. I don't know if he has any, or she, who knows who it is, any additional strength or speed or anything like that, or if it's just fighting skills that are hard to match.
We will find out.
Yeah.
And that's a great main opponent for the Black Widow.
Oh, right, yeah. You don't want to see like supernatural, superpowered, because that sort of, why wouldn't she call the Hulk, or why wouldn't she call Iron Man?
I definitely foresee her taking an individual L, getting the family together, them taking an L, and then regrouping, and just something weird's gonna happen where they fight drunk or something.
Yeah, I think the reveal for who Taskmaster is, it's gonna be someone she's close to, and I don't even know if it was anybody we saw in the trailer. Obviously, it's not the Red Guardian because we saw him fighting the Taskmaster.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just hope that I hope that David Harbour's character survives this. I hope we see more Red Guardian in the future, but who knows? Maybe we can keep going backwards in time and doing more flashback movies with these characters. Maybe we get to see a Captain America, Red Guardian in the 1980s sort of working together. Wait, no, he's frozen. That would make sense.
Yeah.
But
Well, maybe when he jumped back in time and then lived at the end of Endgame, he went back in time. So that leaves options open.
The only thing he did leaving Peggy Carter was hang out with the Red Guardian.
I mean, he could have done like a little hero.
Maybe. He could have got really bored one weekend.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, give me something to do. And here's hoping.
But
No, I'm really excited. That's the next MCU movie. They say it's going to set up some stuff for the future, which is interesting because obviously it takes place in the past. But it's going to answer a lot of questions about the character and maybe why she wanted to sacrifice herself in Endgame. If this is the last time we see
To save the
Scarlett
world,
Johansson,
Billy?
well, of course to save the world, but if she has
you
nothing
think
left,
there's selfish reasons?
well, if
Not
she,
selfish, but
I'm worried that I'm worried that her quote unquote family takes a hit. A lot of them die, and the last grasp of like her past that she held on to in a positive way is gone. And then in Endgame, it's just like game over. I'm doing this for everybody else. I got nothing else.
So you mentioned Red Guardian, Captain America, probably not teaming up in the 80s, but maybe. Another thing that occurred in the 80s is Wonder Woman.
What a segue.
1984.
What a segue. Or WW84 as it's being sold, I think.
So that trailer also dropped recently, and that showed us a big jump. I think the original Wonder Woman from 2017 was in 1918.
It was World War One.
Yep.
So 1920. Man, I wish I knew this. I should know.
Regardless, it's around. I thought it was 1918, maybe 1920, somewhere in there. But we're taking a big jump, 60 some years to 1984, where this current story is going to take place, still well before the Justice League and all that jazz. But we see Gal Gadot kind of reprise her role as Wonder Woman.
Yeah, I love this trailer because obviously you can tell that those original, I don't know if you call them Phase 1 DC movies, were heavily influenced by Scott Snyder. Even though Patty Jenkins was the director for Wonder Woman 1, it was real dark and the colors were muted. You can tell this one, they're just like, screw Scott Snyder. We're going to do this nice and colorful and bright. And I'm sure it being in the 80s has something to do with that. But the reds, the golds, the blue, it's bright. It's not like somber. Like, this is what it looked like before. And you can tell that it's like bright and the gold is shining and shimmering. And you got the backdrop of the 80s and they're,
And you're also, in the original Wonder Woman, you're kind of depicting war and...
but still, it was the way that they shot it and the way that it's edited,
it's dark.
Sort of mutes everything out. Like, Justice League and Batman vs. Superman, which did great, so I could see why they would copy that.
So one thing that I haven't seen Wonder Woman since it came out, was released in theaters, but Chris Pine's in this trailer. His character, and he doesn't look like he's aged a bit.
Oh, you're right. It was 1918.
1918, okay.
That was the end of the World War One. Good call. Good memory.
So 66 years later, Chris Pine hasn't aged a day, and he's just a normie. It's not like he's a superhero. I was wondering if you had any thoughts on how he's kind of arrived in this timeline.
Well, obviously, this was something we knew for a little while they were filming, that Chris Pine was going to be in it, and you're assuming it's not just flashbacks. And in the trailer, we saw, without great explanation, that he is back. He is back as
his character, which will be named shortly.
Steve Trevor, obviously. I was going to say Steve Rogers.
Nope.
So Maxwell Lord is going to be the quote-unquote main baddie for this, which is played by the Pedro Pascal, which I really liked in the show Narcos. He was great in Narcos. He's the Mandalorian in the new Star Wars show that I have not seen, but I hear it's pretty sweet. But so Maxwell Lord in the comics, in DC Comics, had more of like a mind control ability and could sort of like get people to do his bidding and was a real suave and debonair kind of guy.
Is it almost like the character from season 1, Jessica Jones?
The Purple Man?
Yeah.
I think that was more of a you do whatever I say. I feel like Maxwell Lord is like a powerful businessman type guy, but he sort of has the ability in the comics that he's more just like he pushes into like your subconscious and sort of persuades you in one way or the other more than just like you do exactly what I say. He's not as powerful, quote unquote, with his powers in the comics, but in the movie you can tell that it's more based on wishes. He's able to grant you sort of like the old story, The Monkey's Paw. He's able to grant you a wish, but it comes at a price.
Okay.
So there's no free lunch. So what I'm assuming is somehow Wonder Woman, Diana Prince, wishes maybe on purpose, maybe just out loud, unbeknownst to herself, and Steve Trevor comes back, but at the same time something happens and it's not all it's cracked up to be, and maybe she has to make a choice at the end that Steve Trevor stays or something else stays. I don't know. I don't think Steve Trevor's going to make it all the way through this movie, but I'm glad to see him back. I like the chemistry, and Maxwell Lord looks pretty sweet as far as like a guy that you'd want to punch in the face. And who else is in it? Kristen Wiig.
Yeah,
Playing,
we haven't seen her in her
cheetah form.
Correct.
Yeah, I'm hoping that looks awesome. I'm sure it will. Kristen Wiig was an interesting choice for that. Obviously, she's more of a comedic actress who can do real, serious acting. But she's playing Barbara so-and-so something that is the cheetah in the comics, who's one of Wonder Woman's #1 villains. Has super strength, super speed, super agility, etc., and literally is like part woman, part animal.
Yeah.
Looks like a cheetah, has strong claws. A great villain, both visually and
matchup wise.
Yeah, matchup
Can
wise.
match the strength, the speed, the agility. Has those instincts to naturally fight off enemies. And
yeah, and I'm sure that'll tie into the Maxwell Lord granting wishes somehow too. She might wish to be something more than she is, and it backfires, and now you're a villain or something. I don't know.
Well, there's probably going to be. I mean, like most build-up of the antagonist, there's going to be some like jealousy, probably of some degree,
Yeah.
and
yeah, definitely
because
jealousy.
there's a conversation in the trailer where they seem buddy, and she's talking about how she's been in love so many times, so you can kind of tell that she's somebody that really wants relationships, and I'm guessing that Gal Gadot, without trying, has an attraction, or people are kind of attracted to her.
Yeah.
And I don't mean Gal Gadot, I mean Diana Prince, but so I'm guessing there's going to be some jealousy created from that, likely, and then she's going to make that wish, like you said, and there's no such thing as a free lunch. So
yeah, that was the one part of the trailer I didn't like, that interaction. I didn't think it was that funny, but maybe in the movie
I'm
plays
sure
off
it's going
as
to
a
be
little more
funny.
funny. Yeah, but I mean, I like Kristen Wiig. I'm sure she'll do a great job. I believe in Patty Jenkins. Wonder Woman was like the only DC movie I liked of these new ones, pretty much. And I'm sure this one will be great. I'm excited the way it looks. It's cool that Steve Trevor's back, and however he's back.
And you mentioned prior to us starting recording that you really were excited for the new armor that Wonder Woman's wearing.
Yeah. The
big
what it ends
gold
on.
wings.
Big gold armor, big gold wings. I've seen before in the comics. I don't know if that's one of the artifacts she gets from Themyscira, like her sword and shield she stole at the beginning. She took with her when she was fleeing at the beginning of the first movie. But I didn't see any sword and shield in the trailer at all. I saw the lasso, and I saw some punching and kicking. I wonder if they're going to shy away from the sword and shield and stick to traditional fighting and the lasso usage, which would be fine. I mean,
she used her her like wrist guards, or gauntlets, I guess maybe, but to redirect a bullet. So I wonder if there's going to be more of that, because there's going to be probably more guns potentially. I mean, I know that was wartime, so there's obviously guns in 1918, but this is 1984. There's potential for automatics.
They might be trying to shy away from the warrior style of her character, because depending how she's written in the comics, sometimes she's portrayed as a straight up warrior who who even Superman is scared of at times, and sometimes how she was written originally was just someone who was about female empowerment of everybody, and pretty much just used the lasso and didn't have a sword and the shield. So through the time, depending on the writer and creator of the comics, she's sort of written in different ways. So she might not have a sword and shield this whole movie. Who knows?
She really looks like one of the Valkyries.
Yeah, maybe that's what they're trying to shy away from.
Well, I mean, even with that suit, she almost looks like more like a Valkyrie. I know she's not riding on the horses, but the wing component is still there.
Remember the part where they're in the jet? I bet we see an invisible jet in this movie.
Oh.
Or maybe she makes the jet invisible. Maybe it's not an invisible jet, but somehow.
That would be interesting.
I could see them doing that.
I don't know if I'll like that.
Yeah, just have to wait and see.
And I'm always right. So.
Yeah,
all right.
That's true. Forgot about that part.
So we're going to get into a little housekeeping. One of the comics that you've been reading regularly, X-Men issues 5, 6, and 7 were pushed back, with 5 coming out 4 weeks after its initial date, which will now be, I believe, January 28th. IGN.
You're talking about Dawn of X?
Yes. Yeah.
Dawn of X, yeah.
5, 6, and 7 are pushed back 4 weeks. IGN, I mean, there's not really much to talk about there unless, am I wrong?
No, I mean, I'm really liking everything that Hickman started with the X-Men. We've talked about it before. I think it's going to translate and set up exactly how, not exactly, but a lot of the similarities how they're brought into the MCU. They needed to do something different from the Fox movies and the comics. Needed to do something different. Hickman's a genius. The seeds he set up with X-Men Powers and X-Men House of X #1 is going to play out years and years from now, and we don't even know it because that's the way that Hickman does it. And as they've expanded to the Excalibur, they've expanded into Dawn of X. Wolverine's going to get his own comic book pretty soon. It's all, obviously Hickman's not writing all of them, but they're all influenced by what Hickman started, which is amazing, and it's all going to come together sort of under the same umbrella.
This story he's creating is kind of the mother when you're making vinegar.
Yeah, or
That's
the mother.
the second vinegar mother kind of quote we've had in these podcasts, and I think there's as many episodes.
Or a mother sentinel. No,
that's what we were talking about.
Master mold. That's what they're called, not a mother. Master mold, right?
It sounds good to me.
Either way. Sentinels.
Yeah.
Sentinels were in the movie when they were in the danger room, but you never really saw one. You saw like a head get chopped off.
Yeah.
Which I understand, that's an expensive thing, but to see Sentinels on the big screen.
And you know what I am looking forward to rewatch? I'm going to get the Disney. I haven't gotten Disney Plus yet, but all the old X-Men cartoons are on there. But pro tip, apparently, I haven't looked into it, but apparently there's a specific order that you should watch them in that isn't how they're listed. But if you search, it's an easy search. You can find the order you're supposed to. So I would look into that before you start watching it.
I remember a lot about that cartoon as a kid watching it, but I remember specifically one episode that I kept only seeing part 1 of.
Morph.
No, that was the first episode where Morph, spoiler dies. It was something with the Sentinels or something with Mr. Sinister, whatever. I kept only seeing part 1, and I never was around when it was on TV to see part 2. And that's what I'll
sounds
finally,
like you didn't sit in front of a TV enough as a child.
I guess not. Or didn't read a TV guide enough to figure out when things would be
Well,
on.
you still can't read. So let's go on to IGN. They came out with a best comic book series of 2019. The best comic book series of 2019 IGN has determined is The Immortal Hulk. I don't have much to say about it because I haven't read it, but we're kind of giving you this information just so if you're looking for a series to read.
But what did you pick up?
The Absolute Carnage Immortal Hulk, which I still have to read.
So this is Absolute Carnage, The Immortal Hulk #1. Written by Hewing, drawn by Andrade, colored by O'Houlihan?
O'Halloran?
Yeah, O'Halloran.
Yeah, there's an
cover looks dope.
Yeah, and I mean, the art we're looking at it just looks pretty killer. People's Choice winner is Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
Pass.
Shout out to Marissa explains it all. Clarissa explains it all.
Melissa Joan Hart.
And that's it.
Have you been following any of the Disney Plus shows, MCU Disney Plus show news?
No.
There's so currently the Falcon and the Winter Soldier is shooting, and currently WandaVision is shooting, and you're getting a lot more leak photos and stuff for Falcon and the Winter Soldier. But WandaVision apparently is the show that's going to set up the multiverse, which is going to introduce us to a lot of characters that weren't in this universe, obviously. And they're shooting that on a closed set somewhere to make sure that there's no leaks. No leaks this, no leaks that. They're going to do some stuff in certain locations, but like the first 3 of 6 episodes are straight up on a set. And another reason for that is because it's going to be sort of pay tribute to old style of TV shows. So like the first episode apparently is going to be they did a production still where it was like black and white and it looked like Dick Van Dyke sort of style.
I saw that.
And then the whole thing is she goes crazy trying to bring Vision back, trying to create a real life. She messes with the fabric of time and the universe. Somebody might be screwing with her, i.e. Nightmare from the Doctor Strange movie.
Yep.
It's going to tie into that. So then it jumps ahead like 20 years, and the next episode might be a sitcom from the 70s. Then it jumps ahead another 20 or 30 years, and it's a sitcom from more recent time, 90s or 2000s. And then apparently the last 3 episodes are more like a giant movie, which would be shot like an MCU movie and not a TV show. So it sounds like nothing like they've ever done before. Sounds like it's going to set up maybe Blade universe, maybe Dracula, maybe Moon Knight stuff with the Wolfman. Maybe it's going to set up how the X-Men get the mutation, get their powers. Actually, that'll probably be Eternal stuff, but it's going to set up a lot of different things. It's going to go right into Doctor Strange 2, where it looks like even the Scarlet Witch might be the villain of that movie that we don't know yet.
Yeah, I could see her being like sometimes there's an initial villain and then it kind of escalates into something a bit more. I could see her being confused and eventually Strange kind of corrects her and she comes back to the good side only to team up with him to have to battle against the big baddie.
So you remember in the comics House of M series, Scarlet Witch is directly responsible for 99% of the mutants losing their powers. Yep. Sort of like a Thanos type of... I don't think they died, they just lost their powers. And sort of she's that powerful, but it wasn't something she did in the best of mind. It was something where she's pushed to the brink. And I could see this show kind of doing the same thing. She's trying to build a family with Vision. She's trying to bring Vision back. Somebody's going to screw with her and mess that up, and she might just snap and beyond her control, or it might mess up and set a lot of things for the next 5 years of the MCU.
And then just to bounce back to the IGN, there's some honorable mentions. So obviously Immortal Hulk, who cares about Sabrina the Teenage Witch? Then Aquaman was also a nominee. Didn't win, but a nominee. The cover art looks pretty great. They still have him with the blonde hair. I kind of thought that they were going to switch to more of a Samoan character.
Oh, for Jason Momoa?
Yeah. I thought that would have been an easy kind of transfer. A lot of people...
Maybe.
It kind of makes sense. Just like an island person, more or less.
Or does it not make sense that they cast Jason Momoa in the movie?
Looks-wise, I think he was perfect.
That's not how Aquaman looked in the comics, though.
No. I mean, as a person who is kind of one with the water, I almost think of what was that Disney movie? With The Rock as one of the voices.
Free Willy?
Nope, not Free
Flipper?
Willy. Nope, not that one.
Rock as a voice? Moana.
Yeah, so, I mean, I feel good vibes from Jason Momoa as a new look for Aquaman rather than the blonde hair, fair skin.
And we know that they're making an Aquaman too, so Jason Momoa is here to stay. But I don't know how connected the DC comics are with the movies, because the most successful comics for DC are Batman comics, with the Batman Who Laughs, with Batman White Knight, with Scott Snyder's reinvigoration of Batman after the New 52 sort of failed at everything else. So I think it's one of those cases, unlike Marvel, where the comics are doing a lot better than their movies, quote unquote. So maybe they're not going to mess with them until they get some overall success, some consistent success.
Another nominee was The City of Bane, Batman, Dark Knight Rising.
That's good too, yeah.
And the cover art we're looking at now
sweet.
almost looks like Batman is breaking Bane's back.
Ooh, what a twist.
What a twist. Then we have Daredevil, a nice kind of like white background.
Who drew that? No.
Zawarski.
Awesome. I can't wait for Daredevil to come back into something that I can watch.
And then we have a comic titled Die. Not familiar.
Ooh.
The Magnificent Miss Marvel.
Ooh,
Heard
Miss
a lot
Marvel.
of good things, and that's...
Feige said that show will be done by the end of 2020. Doesn't mean we're going to see it by the end of 2020, but I still don't think they've casted Miss Marvel, so they might be doing that on the sly, and we don't even know that it's already in pre-production.
And we have Monstrous, Thor. Thor covers.
Oh yeah, who's doing
Pretty
the new
interesting.
Thor? Jason Aaron.
Jason Aaron.
Yeah,
and artist
I've
Mike
heard that's
Del
great.
Mundo.
Jason Aaron was the one who wrote Thor: Love and Thunder, which they're basing Thor 4 on.
Oh, yeah?
where, Jane Foster becomes
Yep,
Thor.
yep.
That's awesome. That's Taika Waititi's back. Heck yeah.
And then we were talking about the new armor that was noticed in the end scene of the Wonder Woman trailer. There's some new armor looking for Batman. An update.
Oh, that
on
looks
the
like
night.
Azraella. Or yeah.
And we'll put the links to these things we're looking at that you all listeners probably can't see in the description below.
Speaking of Batman comics, this one was pretty excited. Last thing before we wrap it up, George Jimenez, a really popular, really great DC illustrator who was doing Scott Snyder's Justice League, who did what was it called? Super Sons, which was when Damian Wayne and Superman and Lois Lane's son teamed up and were in a book together.
Yeah.
Real amazing artist, illustrator, does all his stuff digital, but he's awesome. He is drawing the new Batman series,
Oh,
which was really pumped. He's put out in the past couple of days, a couple of his covers, which look awesome.
damn.
And yeah, he's great. And he's inside baseball. When you think of artists, and I always thought this too, you think of people who sit behind a computer, sit behind a desk, eat whatever they want, don't sleep a lot, maybe don't take care of themselves for the love of the art.
I think of
George
Picasso.
George Jimenez actually can work out, actually stays fit, and still draws 12 to 14 hours a day and gets his stuff done. So it's not impossible, but he's a good guy to follow if you think that all artists just sacrifice their own personal well-being for
I actually
art.
never thought that.
I always think that.
Yeah? Is
Yeah.
that why you never wanted to be an artist?
Yeah.
Because you
No.
like your body too much?
No. It's a tough compromise, but it can be done. He is living proof. Greg Capullo, to a certain extent, too. Another guy with big muscles who draws 10 to 14 hours a day.
Yep. Speaking of big muscles, that's the end of this podcast. There wasn't any segue there, but
We're good for 1 out of 2 segues a podcast.
we are all finished. It's time to go and get back to our other duties. And
Speaking of cleaning house,
what?
you dutied all over the house?
You dutied?
Edit this part
Anyway.
out. Cut this part out.
Nope. No editing required. So that is the end of the podcast YouTube thing. If you're on YouTube, please comment below with any questions you might have for us. If you want to see us on video, please say so below, because Billy doesn't want that because he hates himself.
If you do want to see us on video, someone pick out a good mask I can wear. I have the face.
Okay.
I have a face for podcasts.
I'll pick out a mask. I'll take that duty.
Uh,
Anyway, so comment below and hit the thumbs up button below. Press that bell and
I
subscribe.
thought it was ring the bell.
You can do
No,
that.
press the bell.
click the
I
bell.
guess it is click the bell. Yeah.
And that's it. Thank you all. We're glad to be back. Beard out.
Asta.